Hi there, it's Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, Worldwide TV Network, Women on TV.tv, iHeartRadio, Comcast, Spotify, Apple TV, Google Plus. And today is a special show because I found this band is very, very interesting to me. I like the sound. It reminds me of the 80s. We can just be listening and driving down the road and just wave your hair like I have long hair out the window of a convertible car and just enjoy this music. The one and only Matt Neighbor. Matt, talk about how you guys started because I love the band's sound. It takes me back to the last of my disc jockey era days of finding new music, cool stuff that no one ever heard before that they enjoyed.
Yeah, thanks so much for that cool, vivid imagery that you're conjuring up about our band. It's really great to be on your show. Thanks so much for having us on. Um, yeah, it's I think we definitely there's definitely like a lot of 80s influence in what we do, and then I think there's also some like 70s and 90s influence, and I think we sort of like try to mish it all together into something that's somehow contemporary, but it's kind of hard to pin down what exactly contemporary is anymore, right? I almost feel like you know, could hear a song that was made from anywhere between 1950 and the year 2000. I could probably tell you like within 3 years when it was made. But then after that, it's really kind of hard to really pinpoint when things were made in music. I feel like there was a certain point where everything kind of broke open and it was no longer on a timeline. We were on like a whole bunch of different timelines for when things happened.
I really like the sound. It reminds me, I mean, before I tell you who it reminds me of, who do you think you guys sound like? Because no band never really wants to sound like anybody else. They always want to have their own identity. But if you were a fan of the FMs, who do you think they would sound like?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because different people have said all kinds of different things, so it's always fun to hear what other people kind of have to say, it sounds like. And when it's people saying a bunch of different things every time you ask them that question, I sort of feel like we're doing something right. It's like if people just said every single time, oh, well, it's that, then I'd be like, all right, well, I guess we're a little derivative then in people's minds. But since we get all kinds of crazy answers, I've heard everything from like uh, Marilyn Manson and Depeche Mode, which kind of makes more sense to me. And then I've also heard people say Tom Waits, which sort of makes less sense to me. Although I still totally do love Tom Waits. Um, and I think we've heard like people compare us to like The Cure sometimes. Um, Nine Inch Nails obviously is like a big, giant elephant in the room when you're talking about any kind of like electronic music that crosses over with rock, being made in the past 30 years or so. Um, big big fans of like Tool and A Perfect Circle and Pucifer and all those Maynard James Keenan projects, and also like a lot of kind of newer artists that I think are really influencing me lately. I've gotten really into this artist Mitski, who's like not super well known. She's like a Japanese American artist that's really cool. I've always been a big fan of Trent Mahler, who's this Danish producer that some people really know and love, but not everyone, of course. There's this artist, Sharon Von Etten, that came out with a really cool album. I don't know if it was maybe a year ago or so that I'm really into and digging on right now. And so that's a pretty wide range of stuff. St. Vincent, I think, is like somewhere in our universe too. I could go on for days telling you about our influences. I always like try to answer that question a little differently.
Well, let me go from the black point of view for me of who you sound like. It
Yeah.
brings me back to my college radio in Connecticut and a little bit of the late 80s in California at Power 106. Because
Hmm.
that, you used to have to listen to music and the albums and the 12 inches back in the day. I'm like, this sounds good. This will go. People will like this because it's not what we're hearing on our station. So my first thing was Depeche Mode. The second was The Cure, and I almost wanted to say a tiny bit of the Thompson Twins, but not so much. Definitely not Tom Waite, and maybe Tool. maybe Tool, and something just your own identity. And
Yeah.
Marilyn Manson performance, yes,
Right.
that album.
Yeah.
But if you're just listening to it with your eyes closed, it has that early cool 80s feel when disc
Mm,
jockeys were playing 12 inches, and this is a band that's got to be played. That's what I heard. When I close
mm,
my eyes and I hear Silent City, I'm like, this is it. This is the throwback to when it was a lot simpler before the internet. This is really
mm.
cool. That's what it sounds like to me.
Cool. Well, thanks. I think that's a wonderful compliment. It's really cool to hear. And I do listen to quite a lot of soul music too from the 70s. And I don't know like how much it's really crept into like our sound, but I really do like listen to that stuff all the time. Especially some of the more like psychedelic stuff that was made in that era.
Well, I'm a Pandora fan, so I'm playing stuff that I like that my mother used to play that she used to pretend that she could sing. I think back in the day, maybe she wanted to be a singer. I don't know, but the stuff that she was playing, it was okay. Now I'm listening to the stuff that she was playing back in the 70s. So I totally get what you're coming from. And then,
Yeah.
the stuff that I really like I like what you guys have created. I've never seen you before, but I like what I hear. I think it's pretty cool. It is definitely a throwback. And like I said, the first thing I listened to it, it reminded me of being first when I started in radio in the early 80s, college radio. And then it reminded me of being an assistant program director. That's pretty cool. I haven't had that happen a long time.
Yeah, yeah. Right on, man. Well, I'm happy that that it resonated well with you. It's cool to hear, and it's nice when music can kind of bring us back to a time and place in our lives that we can recall.
How were you and the bandmates able to get through this year? This has been my best year for movie reviews and more. Not a lot of people could say it. The 15 people that other people I could say it at, the thousands of people that I know, that's not good and that's not enough. How have you been able to get through the year? What was that like for you and the bandmates?
I'd say overall it was a hard year. Performing live was such a big part of what we did that it's pretty unfortunate that we obviously like weren't able to do that. So yeah, it's just been super weird this year, I would say, all in all. Um, I guess we have, it hasn't been the worst year ever in terms of our band. We do have some interesting stuff going on. We've made a bunch of cool videos. We've been doing a lot of cool recordings, but yeah, it's just it's a real tragedy that we can't have live shows right now. Just kind of, there's not really a good way around it yet, and I'm just we're sort of all crossing our fingers that that's going to be over with soon. But it's a scary time. I've known 7 people that have died from COVID this year, and had another friend that was my age that was in the hospital like a week ago, and it's serious business. And I think there's a lot of people that don't really think anything of it if they only see it happening on the TV and stuff. And then, they have somebody they know that got affected by it, that maybe had to go to the hospital, maybe passed away from it. And then they realize, oh, crap, like this is actually really serious. Um, as far as us, I mean, I think that creatively the year has definitely changed like how I see things creatively as a songwriter. I definitely feel like the content that I'm writing this year is a little sadder and more introspective, because that's just sort of where people's heads are at right now. We're not going out in these mass social gatherings where we can sort of celebrate each other and celebrate each other's heartbeats in person. We're sort of having a very introspective year. And, collectively, humanity is having a very introspective year. We're sort of learning, readapting how we can connect with one another, if we're not going to be able to do it in real life. I mean, you and I are doing that right now. We're sort of finding this way to connect with one another and to connect with whoever's listening to the show, without having to do that. So in some ways, I guess we're being creative, but it's still pretty sad, and we're still, for the most part, just waiting, biding our time till when we can perform live again.
You know, I look at it this way. I've been talking to a lot of musicians going back to, I think of NAMM, mid-January of this year. A year goes quick. You don't really have a lot of time to write. So I look at the next between now and the next 5 months, write as much as you can because as soon as this is over, you're going to be on the road. You're not going to have time to write. It's going to be a whole different way of doing things, and it's not going to be what you expect it to be. That's what I keep telling musicians because I can see it a lot clearer because I'm in the movie business things. And I kept telling people 2 years ago, I saw this coming. I just didn't know what the name of it was going to be. I picked, um, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden in May of 2018. I picked that ticket then and I won my bet with my partner. So I'm good at seeing what's coming in the future. So I can see a lot clearly what's happening on the music side now. If
Well,
you
I'll need to have you manage my stock portfolio then, I guess.
Well, hey, we got a stock market crash coming. I've been saying it all year after February 16th. Once that happens, it never recovers. So think of Disney. Disney owns Marvel, Pixar, Star Wars. Look how bad they're $50 billion in debt. They're not getting out of that. They have no movies until after April, the earliest. They're in a sad state. They keep the last 3 weeks straight, they've been laying off thousands and thousands of people. They have no revenue coming in. The only thing that's keeping them afloat is ESPN a little bit and Disney Plus. That's it. So, with the people I've been, talking to, whether it's Scott Page, which is Soho Johnny, with his all, Neil Preston, the people who, the best, the world's best rock photographer, who's been taking iconic photos of Jimi Hendrix first, right up to the Queen album that he has out now. They did not see this coming. And like I said, I've been telling people for 2 years, you have to be able to adapt and adjust to the new change. If you could do those three things, you'll be okay. If you can't, you're not going to survive it. But the year is almost over. We only have 5 weeks left. So there is no conventions in January. So you plan on mid-February forward. It's not a lot of time to write, but it's still enough time to write because before you know it, all of a sudden, you're going to be able to perform in smaller venues, smaller people, but reach a wider audience. That's how it's going to be.
Yeah, no, that kind of seems like a sensible prediction and pretty good advice too. You sort of have to work with what you got, and what we have right now is like time and space to create stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great time to do a music video. You dig back deep into maybe kind of what maybe Tom Petty or Robert Plant was doing, except you just do it from a distance. You do it. I've been telling my friends since February, go out to a pasture, find a vacant lot. The earth is the playground. There's so much things you can do. This is a great time to just shoot a music video. You don't have to be in the same room. You don't have to record in the same room, right? So you don't have to be in the same room. It's a challenge. And then when you get together, I could see a music video being built for you guys. You're starting outside of where you guys are. All of a sudden, you at the end, you guys are kind of in the same room. No one knows how you got there. It could be animation, because animation and AI tech aren't going away. Use those platforms and watch and see what happens with your great band that you have.
Yeah, no, we're doing some of that already, and you're absolutely right. Actually, you brought up earlier the song that we released this year, Silent City, and we were able to do a video for that one back in April when the quarantine restrictions were a lot more serious. The pandemic was really spiraling out of control in New York City in particular. And, everyone was I was very scared of what was happening at that time. And everyone was pretty frightened about what was happening. Our whole world had just changed in an instant at that point.
Yeah.
And we did find some creative ways to make a music video at that time. And that's definitely something I'm really proud of us being able to have done. Some of the stuff we did was like, we sourced a lot of footage from our fans just going around New York City, showing the empty streets, showing street signs, telling people to stay safe and to stay inside and stuff like that. And
that's cool.
Yeah, we came up with this cool idea to my partner put a GoPro on the back of an RC car, and we put it in slow-mo, and we kind of like chased me around with the RC car, like it was like the first person perspective of like a monster or something chasing me through the streets. So we got some cool stuff. We made a pretty cool video for it that I'm really proud of. And that was also kind of like a weird song, just sort of like going back to seeing what was coming. But we'd written that song back in April 2019, and the song was about a pandemic hitting New York City. So it's kind of weird in a sense. We ended up finishing the recording, having the masters and everything in April 2020. And immediately we were like, we gotta release a video for this song like right away. This is really timely, what's happening here. And and so we were able to do that, and actually we just released another video too. Is our second video of the year, and it's called Annihilation Denial. Again, we had to get creative a little bit with how we shot the videos. It wasn't like a lot of people working on it at once. We kind of had to be in a pod with each other, the people that were working on those videos, and we managed to make it happen.
As you're talking, I'm having these ideas come into me. And I never told anybody this. You should take your most famous song, redo it in a new video of what's going on today, for one. And then another thing, for some strange reason, which was coming through, would be, next week is Thanksgiving. Imagine what one of your weirder songs would be, where everybody's only locked down with whoever they may be in the house with. It could be anything. That's you guys could come up with all kinds of creative things, and your fans would love to be involved with that. Singing a song to your many fans from around the world, and then shouting their names out in different towns, states, and countries. Things like those are the things that just came to me as you were talking.
Yeah, we have some ideas kind of like that, and I think that you really have to rethink how you reach people these days, I guess. And I'm not the most sophisticated, cutting edge technological person when it comes to these things, to be honest. But you do have to kind of, social media is obviously this like kind of big hot topic in a sense. But in general, I think that especially now, people who are successful at like reaching their fans and having a meaningful impact on them are the people that somehow like kind of involve them, And so I think that is ultimately the trick, in a sense, is like, how do you involve people with your project? How do you get them to participate in what you're doing? And there's a million creative ways to kind of do that nowadays through social media. And I don't think we've really quite figured out how to do it yet, but I'm hoping that we'll start to get better at that.
No one has. And like I said, by the time if you were writing another album and you were coming up with 5 videos to do, by the time you guys have finished that, 5 months will have gone by. And then it's going to be time for you to hit the road in a different way. When you think about it like that, how long does it take for you to write an album, you guys?
Well, I'm not really sure how to answer that question, but I could tell you this. We released our first album in the summer of 2017. And to write and record that album probably took us about a little less than a year. And Pink and Black, which was to be our follow-up album, our sort of sophomore album, if you will, we started writing and recording that one in the spring of 2017. And we haven't released it yet. So
yeah, but that's okay. Think about it. By the time you did, remember the days of a live band doing a double album? Think about it. If you guys did another album and you did 3 or 5 music videos, it's going to be time for you by the end of next year to go on the road. It's not a lot of time to do. It really isn't, when you think about it like that.
No, it's not. We have a lot of stuff in the sort of can, I guess you could call it, right now.
Yeah.
We kind of we finished a whole album. We mixed and mastered it and finished it last April. But instead of kind of going out and releasing it, we've been very sort of strategic with how we want to go about all that. We sort of brought in a new management company. And, I kind of come from a little bit of a traditional mind point or a perspective on this stuff. I really always appreciated the album format. I always thought that was a really cool
Yeah.
thing. Like, the album was the work of art, right? Like this was the, sort of where that band was in that time and place in that period and creating that sound and using that technology of that era, and there's so many albums that I could like point you to, in the past, from the 60s to the 2000s, that really just hit on, that time and place. When you listen to an album, you're like, yep, that was 1994. That was 1986. That was 1967, and I just always really appreciated that. I've always kind of been a fan of history too. And I always really liked being able to put the sort of cultural work on its timeline for its time and place. And I always really appreciated that with albums. But people sort of say nowadays that the album format is not really the way that people are reached anymore, because people aren't buying physical music on like physical things any longer, that the album format is like a little bit kind of dead. And I think that's a
But
little bit
here's the
sad, but
thing: as that old disc jockey and that old system program director, remember, your sound reminded me back in the day of picking up an albums of, I'm thinking of Van Halen and reading the liner notes. I miss that. You know,
yeah, totally.
the studio was recording and all that stuff. These people, they're sitting at home, they need that stuff because they can't go and buy albums anymore. And just to get it online, it's not the same. It's like picking up a book. I'm old school. I want to pick up that book. I want to be able to show you, here it is. Go out and get this. Support that small business. There is no Amoeba in Los Angeles, which was the last big place to buy albums. Who was buying albums? Kids. They didn't grow up with albums. They found these vinyl things and album, attics and in the basements of their parents' homes. What is this? Oh, that's cool. Oh, listen to that sound of the groove. They started going out and buying turntables. Think of the opposite of what used to be and go back and create that. Watch and see how popular you guys get.
Yeah, no, I hear you. We're still gonna release our album. I think we're probably gonna end up doing it in late spring or mid 2021. And our plan right now is to release a couple of 2-song singles before we do that. And
That's
we're
smart.
actually right now, and this has not been announced or anything anywhere yet, but we are in production, actually making some vinyls right now that we're really excited about. So we're
Good for
definitely going to
you.
be doing the vinyl thing, and we'll have to send you a copy.
I would love to have it because I love picking up stuff and say, here it is, go out and get it. And people will go and do that because it's people want what they can't get.
Yep.
There is no Amoeba store in Los Angeles. That was the last big place that you can go in and see friends. It's gone now. The record parlor, the reason I chose the record parlor, small little place, which is still in, everything's got to be smaller because people were donating. They were being kept in because they were small. People could come in and buy the stuff. You couldn't do it at Amoeba, too big. They're gone. So people want what they can't have, and people want albums. They want to be able to listen in the comfort of their home because they're going through anxiety. They're feeling depressed, and I know I'm talking to these people. Even for me, when I'm walking around the house, I'm listening to the old stuff. I'm listening to my favorite song. Imagine this: find me another black guy that loves "Ain't Talking About Love" by Van Halen. There isn't none. My friend Eddie Halen, Van Halen is not here anymore. My last memory of Ed is sitting in the corner when he had throat cancer, throat disease. He's drinking his Jack Daniels. He's got his ukulele and he's still smoking. That's my memory of Eddie. And he says, you think that's great? We got more stuff coming. Well, more great stuff like that never came because you only have that one magic once. It was him. It was David Lee Roth, Anthony and Alex. That was Van Halen. I did like when Sammy came in and added the different touch, but that wasn't Van Halen. That was Sammy being in there. It's like Queen. Queen fits with Adam because Adam was always, he grew up listening to the stuff like that. So it's very interesting to see how things can evolve. If Adam Lambert could be, not replace Freddie Mercury, but be okay with the entire Queen, and then they go on and win an Oscar with the film. That's a different way of doing it, because I always say this: did Donald Trump ever see himself being president? In his mind, he did, but did anybody else forecast it? The answer is no. So when it comes to these things as rock bands doing it a different way, there is no wrong way of doing it now. The way that it used to be, what you were talking about and how I grew up, that's the way to do it now, because people are at home. And it brings back memories. They're stuck at home. Those people who got those albums and they got the old record players, this is the time to bring them out and dust them off, right?
Yeah, totally. No, it's true. There is something kind of magical about having the vinyl and having the physical thing in your hands, you know. It's as we more and more interact with the world digitally, there's something refreshing about being able to hold something in your hands and see it and touch it, and you know, because you don't have all those senses, you know, tapped when you're just experiencing something digitally, right? Like if I'm just
Yes.
streaming a song off Spotify, it's only hitting my audio senses, you know? Whereas if I have a vinyl, I can touch it, I can smell it, you know, I can look at it, and I can hear it. You know, it really there, and I know you don't usually think of it in that way, right? You're mostly the idea is it's this, you know, sort of tool for you to be able to hear something.
But I do, because
Ultimately, you
your
have an
song,
interaction with it
but I
that
do
has all these.
because your song, Silent City, reminded me of that. That's the first, song in a long, long time that immediately brought me back to that time. No one else did that. So
That's cool.
you for that song. That's a good.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, really appreciate that.
How do your fans reach out? The people that don't know who you are, how do they reach out and find you guys? What's your social media links?
We are on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Twitter. We're starting a TikTok right now. The links for those. So if you want to check out our music videos, we have a lot of really cool music videos on YouTube. The link is just youtube.com/the FMs. Or if you search in YouTube for the FMs, you probably find us. On Instagram, we are at the FMs, so like at THEFMS. Facebook, we're facebook.com/the FMs music. Spotify has some crazy long link. I can't really give you that one, but if you search for the FMs on Spotify, you should be able to find us there. And let's see, what else am I forgetting there? I think that's probably pretty good for now. You know, in general, you should be able to find us if you search for the FMs. We also have a website, thefmsmusic.com.
What do you say to those future fans that have not heard of you yet? What do you say to them to get them to listen to your music?
Please. I don't know. I think that like if I had the right answer to that, I would be famous by now, I suppose, right? But
Well, think of the movie Almost Famous. Think of Cameron Crowe and Neil Preston, who actually ended up shooting that. So it was based on their lives. So it's always interesting to see where people will be today. It'll be interesting to follow you guys where you'll be July of 21, because I keep telling people, no matter what, the earliest version that anybody can get to take a vaccine is after July of 21. It's just not going to happen before that. It takes a year and a half to develop everything the correct way. Most people don't want to take a vaccine for the flu. So you think you're going to get it for COVID? No, the answer is no. Most people of color don't believe in the government testing things on them because they've had it happen and the memories are still there. So, like I said, it's not a lot of time, but before you know it, time just goes so quick. Beginning of the year, you'll be on the road in a different way, doing different things and being very popular.
I hope so. I mean, I guess, I kind of was joking a little bit when I said please, but On a more serious level, I think that we, are really doing this from our hearts. The music that we make is real. It's not some kind of fabrication that we're just making to try to, we think somebody will like or something. Like it's a real thing that we put a whole lot of time and energy into. It's really our entire lives is this project, and so it really means the world to us when anybody goes and checks it out. It's such a big deal for us. Like even just one person going and listening to our music or checking out our music video, it just means the world to us. So yeah, to anyone out there that's listening to this show, I really urge you to check us out. It really it just means the world to us.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good thing because, like I said, there's so many people just stuck at home. There's so many people that are afraid to leave their homes, and they need any inspiration that they can have. And a lot of times they're looking for something new because they can't go out and get it. They can't go out and see it. So, oh, let me look about this. So I'm amazed when that people are watching our shows around the world on different platforms. I'm like, well, who's watching our shows? But at the same time, we have 6.4 million views a day and counting. It's on all different platforms. Out of Tennessee alone, the country capital of the world, we have 3.9 million views a day and counting. I see that coming 2 years ago. It took me to go to Tennessee to set all this stuff up to make it happen. I look forward to going back just to make an appearance, just to have people come see our show. And we got to set up to do it in a private way, in a private studio, because that's how you have to do it.
So should have told me, I would have done my Southern accent during the show.
You still can. It's never too late.
What's up, y'all? Listen on. Oh gosh, that was terrible. I can do it better.
But no, it's good. When I'm talking to people about certain bands and groups and individuals, you guys will be in, that comes off the top of my mind because, like I said, I like that single. And that's important because, first of all, people are surprised that my first 3 songs aren't R&B or hip hop songs. They're rock and roll songs. That completely catches them by surprise. My second favorite rock and song is from Kiss, Let Me Go. Let Me Go. Ain't Talking About Love's the first one. Let Me Go, Rock and Roll is the second one. So when I saw, I met Gene Simmons for the first time, I had to tell him, and he was like, well, that's cool. And then I have a great photo with me and his family for on his show, The Family Jewels. So when it comes to those things like that, it's very interesting because his son didn't even know what this song was. That was his son. Son wasn't going to listen to his dad music. And I found it very interesting.
Right on.
One last thing. What do you hope to have going after July 21st of next year? If you could see in the FM's crystal ball, what would be the thing that you guys would like to do and where, either state or country?
We want to tour every little city in Tennessee, Nashville, Memphis, you name it, Knoxville. We'll be there. We'll be playing a show for all y'all.
Hey, that's a good one. That's good. Because here's the thing. Those fans are just itching to come out, and they're going to come out for everybody in different ways. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
The bands just have to make sure they're ready. There's no excuse to saying, oh, we didn't have enough time to write a song. You had plenty of time. We didn't have enough time to do a music video. You had plenty of time. We didn't have time to put everything get ready together. No, you had plenty of time. Now's the time. And it's not that much time to do it because time goes quick.
Yeah, I hear you.
Matt, you get the last word.
Nice words of inspiration to kind of leave us with.
Hey, I challenge people because if I had to change things around 2 years ago and I saw it coming, everyone else has to do the same thing because I want people to succeed. I want small businesses to grow. In the month of December, there'll be many, many more people unemployed and more small businesses that are gone, and that does not make me happy. My job is to help get their word out and help tell their stories because I believe in world peace. It took me 16 years to believe it, but I believe in it. But that's me.
That's great, yeah. It's great.
Give your social media sites one last time, Matt.
We are the FMs. We have links at YouTube, youtube.com/the FMs, Instagram @the FMs, Facebook is facebook.com/the FMs Music. And we also have a website, thefmsmusic.com. Check us out on Spotify or Apple Music or any of your favorite music platforms. We're all over the place. So can't tell you how much it would mean to us if you spent 5 minutes checking us out. And hopefully you like what you hear and you stick around with us as we develop our craft and keep making music.
And check out their song Silent City. And I'm Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, WomenOnTV.tv, the Worldwide TV Network, IQ247 out of Franklin, Tennessee. Obviously, Spotify, Pandora, Comcast, Apple Plus, Apple TV, Google. And with that, I say this. If you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours because the world needs it. And we will see you next week. And thank you, Matt. Thank you for coming on. And you got
Thank you so much for having me.
now.
All right, awesome.